Let's go! Not over.
Hey, everybody. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots. With me, as always, my good co-host and sidekick, Johnny C., creator of Surrounded by Death. The immensely successful Surrounded by Death. What's up, pal? How's it going?
It's going. What a busy week it's been, huh? I don't know about you, but for me, it's been crazy.
Well, you know, like a lot of people don't know, like my day job, I work in the solar panel industry. So right now, this is when stuff starts to amp up for us, like right till the end of the year, because everybody's trying to get it in. Their projects in so they could get their tax credits by the end of the year. So everything's amping up. It's so my job's been nonstop, and I'm sure yours is nuts as always. Too.
Yeah, the work's been crazy. I had some technical failures throughout the week. I had hard drives go down. My laptop has got a black screen right now, so I'm actually for the first time in a very long time doing the show from my cell phone. So I'm just waiting for anything to fail. You never know what's going to happen.
You know what I was going to say is you have it sounds fine. It sounds fine, dude.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, so like I don't even notice, you know. So
yeah, literally, I was like, oh man, it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm trying to boot up, and it's a black screen. I'm like, gonna have to go with the cell phone.
Yep, that's great, man. Awesome. Yeah. So anything new this week that comic wise that
I didn't get any Kickstarters or anything to open this week. One thing I do like to mention though is this week's guest is somebody who is a part of my Thursday night Zoom call comic creator meetup thing. So
really?
I'm looped into a group on Twitter of a group of creators that kind of carried each other throughout the pandemic, just having Thursday night Zoom calls, kind of just like hopping in.
Cool! I didn't know
that. And you know, although I've met Matt before that, you know, I kind of regularly interact with a group with him in it weekly. So it's always fun when somebody from that group kind of spills over to this show. I always love when that happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. Before we bring the guest in and we start chatting up everything, let's go see who's in our chat tonight. We got Ara. Hey Ara.
What's up, thanks buddy? For being there.
I know. Ara. Always supportive. You know,
always supportive. The patron saint of indie comics.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I missed him by like an hour on Free Comic Book Day on Saturday. Did you end up going anywhere, Johnny?
Dude, I went everywhere.
Did you?
I went to Bedrock, I went to Hall of Comics, and I went to That's Entertainment. Your store.
Nice. I picked up the other stores. I only went to 2 stores. I went to Rubber Chicken Comics, and then I also went to the One Stop Shop in Clinton. So, and I think I missed Ara maybe by an hour at Rubber Chicken. I missed a few people there that I saw pictures later. I was like, oh man, I missed a bunch. So It was good.
Right.
There was sales going on. It was nice to support it, comics. I always find, I don't know if, and this is just a tangent real quick, but I always find like the free comics that they give out, they're not, I don't know, nothing crazy. Great.
Well, you never know though. Some years, like if you look in the past, like the Umbrella Academy free comic book day issue, like that's for some reason goes for pretty good on eBay. Like,
oh really?
You never know when one of these variant like free comic book day preview editions that are kind of limited and run, you happen to scoop one, and you never know when it becomes valuable. So that's one thing. I mean, if you're one of those guys that chases covers and comics for that regard, but and on the flip side, the cool part about it too is that every company does one. So like even Source Point Press had one. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's cool to see, even some of the indie companies kind of putting one out there and helping people jump on their books.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the most stores order the major stuff, but I know like. I know stores pay for them, which is always good to like actually support Free Comic Book Day, but not all of them get everything. So you always have to kind of travel,
Yeah, so that's why going to 3 different shops, I noticed that the selections differed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was cool to see some of that, at That's Entertainment that wasn't available at some of the other shops.
Yeah, and another great thing about this year was it was nice to just go to a free comic book day, because I know I've set up in the past, and I didn't really seek a table at any place this year, although I could have. I just thought it would be nice to just not be at a table and just go and enjoy it,
Right,
so that was kind of like
nice. A convention when you're not behind a table.
Yeah.
It's like, I can just enjoy the show.
Yeah, basically. Also got Roland in here tonight.
Roland,
good to see you, buddy. It feels like it's been a few weeks since we last saw you. I know everybody gets crazy now. And what's this? Got my Mighty Mascots set recently. Haven't unboxed it yet. Awesome, dude.
Nice.
I hope you enjoy the new story.
We should bring him on the show to unbox.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you ever want to unbox on the show, let me know. We'll bring you in. Of course, we got Amy in the chat. Can't wait to get my coffee and comic, Johnny.
Thank you, Amy.
Speaking of which, Johnny, before we bring the guest in, how's that going? I know the Kickstarter ended around, what was it, almost 8, or is it 7,000?
Just over 7, but
cool.
we had like about 5 drop pledges. That put us just under 7. But that's fine. But that's fine though, because
you were counting on that, right? I told you.
Yeah. No, we cleared that goal like crazy. So even if we fell short a little bit, it's not a big deal. All stretch goals have been unlocked. So and I posted an update today in the campaign. So as soon as I get that money into my account, I'm going to start ordering things and, compiling.
Definitely.
It's going to be Fulfillment Central here soon.
Nice. Yeah, I would say start buying stuff now, like the Geminis and things like that. Yeah. Figure out what kind of boxes you're going to need for the bigger stuff,
Right.
And, things like that. Hey, and, little Don Chin. Hey, Don.
Hey, Don.
Look at this.
Thanks
I can't wait to be surrounded by comics and coffee.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I told Don, I said he's going to look good in a green apron.
Yeah, definitely. And my local comic store, the Comic Book Palace, went on a tirade about how he won't support it anymore. Comic Tom made the clip go viral. Oh, really? Interesting. I wonder why people aren't into it. I mean, I figured shops would be, that's usually when they have sales, and I'll have to go look for that. I'm curious, curious why he wouldn't want to do free comic book day. But without further I know, let's all our meandering here. We got guests to get to tonight. So without further ado, let's bring in our guests. We got Matt Summo. Is that how you say it, Matt?
Sumo, like sumo wrestler.
Hey, thanks. Sumo wrestler, nice. Thanks for joining us, man. And then
man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And also Pete Collins. Hey, Pete. Thanks for joining us as well.
How's my pleasure.
Guys? Awesome. It's good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, fellas.
Yeah, definitely. So the one thing I always start the show off with, and people seem to like, is I always like to get in the origins of our creators, like how you, like what was there a comic book or a TV show that you had saw when you were a kid that kind of put you on the path to wanting to become a part of this crazy industry, you know? I'll actually go around the room if Matt, if you want to start first and kind of tell us your history a little bit.
Sure. So I think I speak for most people when I say that X-Men, the X-Men cartoon and Batman animated series, like those really got me like hooked on comics. I recall like getting given comics by like my dad or my mom, like when they went out somewhere, they're like, here's a comic. I don't recall like what my first comic was.
Okay.
But I do recall like the X-Men cartoon and Batman the animated series like really being that like bridge into comics for me. Like once I saw those and like realized that there were comics to go with it, it was just like
and was that the point when you were like, oh man, I wonder if I could do something like this.
No, believe it or not, like that came like so much later in life.
Oh really?
Like once I figured out like the hierarchy of comics and like how comics work, like once I really got into it and really started to like read them for the writing and not just for like the cool pictures of superheroes. I would say like I think once I read like Ultimate Spider-Man, that was the one where I was like, man, like you could do this. Like you could write characters that sound like you know people that you know, like that sound like real people and not just like superhero dialogue. Once I figured that out, that's when it was like a whole different thing. Like now I was like, I need to do this. Like I want to do this. I have to do this. Like how do I do it? And that put me on the path to figuring all that out.
Awesome. How about you, Pete? Was there a comic or cartoon that kind of set you on the path to becoming like a comic artist, basically?
So I had like some really cool grandparents that owned a hobby shop in the early 90s. Really? Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, it was mostly like, it was in a small little town called New Milford, Connecticut. Very small.
Oh, really? Okay.
In comparison, right? So it's, we had, it was mostly like sports cards and that sort of thing. Yeah. And it kind of, they took on 2 spinner racks. And this is like, during like the, Jim Lee and Chris Claremont's X-Men and, McFarlane on Spider-Man and that sort of thing. So
heyday.
Yeah. So like, I was the prime demographic, I guess. So, that kind of latched, that kind of pulled me in. I had been, drawing, painting, doing all kinds of things before then, but it was kind of directionless.
Okay.
And that kind of gave me something to strive for.
Gotcha. Was there a specific artist that kind of spoke to you that back in that time that?
Ooh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I mean, certainly I was, anything Jim Lee pulled me in very early.
Yeah.
I think, as my, my interest kind of like broadened, so did my appreciation for other artists. Art Adams.
Okay.
Amazing. There's so many of them that I could say that I've felt inspired from, past and present.
Okay.
But definitely I would say, I guess it's kind of a almost cliche answer. Jim Lee, kind of.
Yeah, no.
But those X-Men covers from the 90s were dope, though.
They were the best.
Like, we bought posters of those because they were so good. Like, come on, you know what I mean? How could you not?
Yeah, true.
The only beef I always had with Jim Lee, and it's a small one, but I always love his artwork. But the one beef I always had is like even like he would draw like the normal people in the backgrounds like ripped to shreds like superheroes. That used to drive me a little nuts because it's like,
that's true.
Just draw like a normal guy.
It was the 90s, Keith. It was
I know. It was like
time.
Everything was extreme, like everything.
Everyone was ripped in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's awesome though. I mean, Jim Lee, we always get Jim Lee and we always get like Todd McFarlane and like, all those guys in the 90s. And I think that was just a specific and like unique time in comic history that everybody was kind of like discovering comics, for like, for our generation, I should say. You know?
I think we're getting a little bit back to that, though. I feel like history is repeating itself a little bit, especially with crowdfunding and with like indie books being so popular, and these variant covers that are fetching like in the thousands, after Kickstarter campaigns and are through and things like that. It's just kind of mind blowing, and it's kind of what the popularity of the 90s was today. It's funny to think about how variant covers almost sank and killed Marvel in the 90s, and now it's kind of like helping comics succeed. It's crazy.
True.
Yeah, it's like
Very
a double-edged sword. It's like I get why it exists, but at the same time, I also think it's like kind of like, like for perfect example, like when I was at One Stop Shop this weekend, our pal Johnny Joe Schmalke.
Oh yeah, Joe from Black Electric, right?
Yeah.
Well,
he has a book out called Phantom Star Killer, and they have the book all over the store. And I was asking the clerk, I was like, "Do you have one that's just a cover price?" I mean, they're all like these variant covers, like glow in the dark and all this crap, and it was like nothing was under, I think, $20. And it's like, dude, I just want, give me the ripped cover. I just want to read it. You know what I mean? I don't even want to, I don't care about the, but I get it. Like some people do, like they're in it for that collector angle of it,
Yep. Some people chase that.
Yeah. So now, did you guys, Matt and Pete, have you guys known each other since you were young kids, or is it somebody? Oh, really? Okay. How did the paths cross here?
Pete, you want to tell him?
Sure. Yeah. So Matt and I share our real world employer.
Okay.
And we the company that we work for, we weren't like in like the same group or the same, even necessarily the same area. In fact, I think shortly after Matt started, I transitioned to a completely different facility.
Okay.
And so I kept hearing from people, "Oh, you should talk to this Matt guy. He's written some comic books. I think you guys have some stuff in common." And and I guess likewise, Matt had seen some drawings that I had like handed off to this coworker or that coworker, little doodles or whatever during the workday. And he was asking similar questions like, "Who's drawing this?" And it was at the company Christmas party. We finally kind of linked up. And,
you guys had your meet cute, as they would say.
Yeah, pretty much. So and then Matt was working on an anthology book called Kayfabe. At the time, and said maybe they were looking for somebody to do a pinup, to which I was totally interested in, and that was that.
Cool.
It.
Nice.
And how long ago was this when you guys kind of crossed paths? Are you guys still working at that same place?
Oh, so I think it was like
work is a relative term.
3 years ago, maybe. Yeah. I mean,
I hear that. What'd you say, Matt?
I said I work. I can't speak for Pete. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's that day job thing. Like, like I don't think I've ever had a collaboration come out of my work situation, but I have run into comic fans at my jobs, and then we talk comics and things like that, but I don't think I've ever had a collaboration happen because of it. I've always and it's weird with job stuff because it's like, and I don't know if Johnny, if this is the same for you, but like when it comes to talking about your side hustles, so to speak, it's tough with your job because if your bosses get wind of that, they're like, "Oh, he's not a company man." You know what I mean? Like you get all that crap. Certain jobs, I used to keep it close to the vest on what I did, on my weekends and things like that. But
my job thinks I'm way more elevated in comics than I am. So I just come back like I'm a rock star on Mondays, going, "Oh yeah, Get a signing at a Comic-Con, whatever.
Yeah, right. That's good though. I mean, keeps them guessing,
I am grateful that they do let me travel a lot. So that's kind of key. It's like, I don't know, and that's actually maybe a great question for you guys is that, part of comics is having to travel and having to kind of put yourself out there. And sometimes when you're holding that full-time job, it can be really hard. Luckily my work's very flexible. They know I'm chasing a dream and they respect that. I don't know about how you guys, do you find it tough to juggle full-time work, comic stuff?
You could go.
That's a great question.
That is a really good question.
I like to plan my time off around shows. So if I have to take like an extended weekend or something, like that's fine. They're aware. They're definitely aware of it. They're painfully aware of it now because we just did, not to toot our own horns, but we just did like a fundraiser. And one of the raffles we did was to get drawn into our book,
cool.
which apparently it did really well. We're still waiting for the numbers, but they're definitely aware that this is something that we're doing. But
so
again, go ahead.
And I was going to say, is this for the upcoming Kickstarter that you guys are doing? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
We'll jump to that next.
Yeah. It was actually like a charity fundraiser thing too. So it was like, it was completely unrelated to even like our daily work stuff. It was just our employer was doing a charity for a local organization that raises money for like, cancer treatments and supports and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
We've been doing that as a company for a long time. And, they look internally for people who want to, donate stuff. And, we came up with the idea like, okay, well, we'll draw somebody into the comic. And
that's a great one.
Yeah. And it did really well. Like Matt said, we're still waiting for the numbers, but it's,
So now, because it was a charity thing, do you guys get any of that funds for the book, or is it more just the exposure of it? Yeah, that's what I figured. Like, I didn't know if it was like, right? I didn't know if it was like a 70-30 split, like the Mob or something.
But the thing is, that's a great perk though, just to find new fans, right? Somebody gets illustrating their book and your book.
I would never have thought to do something like that.
I think we were looking for like a way to make people at the job aware of it, like aside from word of mouth, and that was really like one of the best things that we could do because it's twofold, right? We're helping a charity, but then also like bringing it on people's radar without having to be like telling them or like begging to get it put in like the company newsletter.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. But, that's good stuff.
Good. It was really cool.
Yeah,
and my wife says here, good karma adds up. So
amen.
Just helping with the Kickstarter, the eventual Kickstarter. Before we get into that, so how long have you guys both been doing comics, like independently? I guess start with Matt first. I guess
I've been doing it on and off for like 10 years now. I started with a one shot 10 years ago. And that kind of got me my first work for hire job, a book called Dedication for a publisher that has since closed. And then I've just been doing stuff on and off. This is my first Kickstarter, which is incredibly nerve-wracking. But yeah.
Tell me about it, bro.
Talk to Johnny. He just finished his first one.
I know, yeah. It was like so nerve-wracking. I was like full-blown panic attack the Sunday before we launched, just because like first time jitters, you know what I mean, man? It's tough. Although you kind of glanced over it, but and I don't know if you mind me mentioning it, but you actually were part of the Take Two interactive team, right? And that was and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but I think you guys took like Night of the Living Dead and you did like books in that universe. And that was such a really awesome concept and endeavor. There were so many awesome creators I knew that went through that company. I was so sad to see it kind of not work out.
Is that the Double Down? Is that company?
Double Take.
Double Take. Yeah.
Take Two was actually the bigger company, right?
Yeah. Take Two was.
Go ahead.
It was our parent company, and then they decided they wanted to get into comics, and they hired Bill Jemmett, and then he put together Double Take.
Okay, yeah, and the whole premise of that was like what? There was like 10 books, and they were all set in the George Romero Night of the Living Dead universe, correct?
Yeah. So my book took place at the local grocery store. It was about a bunch of kids.
Oh, I
working
remember
overnight
that
shift
one. Yeah,
during the Night of the Living Dead. Yeah.
You know, it got to the I never bought any of them, but
How
I
dare
remember,
you?
Yeah. No, I remember seeing them at conventions a lot, and the reason I know that one is because I forget they were handing them out at some shows up here in
So at New York, we were giving away we gave away the trades when they came out. Like you can go to the booth, spin a wheel, and win a free trade. We had boxes and boxes of trades. I walked away with none of them.
Stan Show actually hooked me up with one of the trades.
Really?
Yeah, Stan was good enough.
I love Stan.
Yeah,
so
he's awesome.
How long did that? How many issues did they put out? Like a couple for each series, or is it?
Yeah, so they did 5 of each, so 50 issues.
It's a lot.
And then we were like about to work on like the sequels, I guess.
Yeah.
So like I had scripted a whole #1 for a book that just went away. Like they closed like right after the trades came out. And I was like, cool.
I was told that you guys were actually shopping for a dead property to try to kind of reinvigorate. And I go, if you guys ever get Megaforce, call me. Let me do a Megaforce story.
So, dude, it was. I have thousands of stories from like working there and doing that whole thing. It's been crazy.
I can imagine. I can only
Roland
imagine.
said Take-Two is the video game company. Is that part of the Double Take?
Yeah,
stuff?
they were. So Take-Two. Take-Two was the parent company of Double Take. Take-Two is a video game publisher. They publish like Grand Theft Auto, all the WWE games. I think all the NBA games at this point. Huge publisher, super successful. Like I said, they wanted to get into comics because I guess they were looking for IP, and the rest is history.
They snagged George Romero stuff, and zombie stuff was popular at the time. So
very popular. Yep.
I don't know what Roland's referencing here. Randy Pitchford. I never heard of this guy. Is there's some kind of like I don't know. I'd have to.
No idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll have to dig in that drama later.
We'll have to leave that dirty laundry out to dry.
Yeah. So that stinks. So they basically did a couple mini series for every title, and then it kind of fell apart after that. It kind of it's tough. I mean, it's tough to just launch a new company like that and not lay the groundwork. You know, it seems like they kind of came out of nowhere and then kind of disappeared the same way. You know, it was just
so. I could pretty much you could draw a line like from Double Take to their like new thing, which is AWA. So Bill Jemis and Axel Alonso.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Artists, writers, and artisans.
Yeah, it's like an
AWA
artisans or something like that.
So they like Bill tried with Double Take. They tried to start a company with like no name creators, like up and coming creators.
Yeah.
Where like AWA started with like name creators, like big name creators and huge books. We should have like Double Take should have started that way and then eased into the George Romero stuff where AWA was like, we're starting with.
I agree with that. If they got like JMS, like say, because I know he's doing some of the AWA stuff. If they started with him and Mike Diodato on like on a Night of the Living Dead spinoff, it would have been huge. I think.
Yeah.
You know,
so they
still now
that,
like it would be. You know. But what is this? What is he saying here? Randy's infamous for screwing people over in the game industry. Oh, that's why I don't know him. Like screwing over Take-Two with Duke Nukem. Okay, see, I'm so out of the video game loop.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm out of the video game loop, so I don't know much about
it's funny though. It's very adjacent, right? It's like there was Gamergate, Comicsgate. You know, there's
everything.
It's all exactly.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so. Yeah, we won't get political
on
here.
To Bardic Verses.
Yeah, right. So how about you, Pete? Like how long have you been doing this?
Days. No.
Really?
This is
was the pinup the first time you did
the
something?
pinup was the first thing I've ever had published.
No kidding. When was the pinup done?
2 years ago, Matt. Two 2.5
Yeah, I
years
think
ago.
it's 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was
Awesome.
and it was an awesome experience. You know, I mean, it was relaxed. It wasn't, you know, I just did a thing. Like there wasn't really any direction. I just put something together. It was funny. It was cheeky. It was kind of cool. And it got to print, and that kind of a little bit of a fire under me to, you know, like, hey, I can do this. I can make something. I can, you know, get my
Keep your
stuff out
artwork
there
and-
for more
and
than a few
actually-
Facebook likes, right?
Yeah.
So have you only worked with Matt now, or have you bounced around a little bit?
I've only worked with Matt. You know, we have, you know, we pretty much hit the ground kind of running to, well, maybe there was a stumble or two, I guess. But, you know, it was all just like, you know, workshopping, you know, after that, coming up with different ideas. You know, I think we landed on, you know, what eventually became Bardic Verses pretty quick.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And,
I definitely want to talk about Bardic Verses.
You know, but yeah,
shortly.
he is Tim Burton, and I guess I am, you know, Helena Bonham Carter. So,
You could have said like Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
I could have gone that way, but
Johnny Depp. That's
Whatever.
awesome. Yeah,
I
right,
thought she was a
right.
safer option.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you want to go with the spicy option? Come on.
Yeah, right.
So you obviously found a really good creative flow between you two, and I think that's like so important when you're putting together like big projects, you know, multi-issue projects. So I guess maybe maybe lead us into you know, Bardic Verses. How'd you guys come to this title?
Roland said it's more like his Danny Elfman. I think that's probably
That's appropriate.
That's appropriate. Yeah.
I'm going to remember that. That's good.
So Bardic Verses is kind of interesting. I think it came from a couple of different things. One being the Witcher Netflix show. They had that Bard character. I think his name is Jasker, right? Something like that. So it came from that, and then it also came from Pete has a lot of experience in D&D and tabletop gaming, and you know, we were talking about this Bard character, and then he was kind of saying, you know, it would be cool to do a book about a Bard, like they're kind of underrepresented characters, like not a lot of people play as them. So we kind of started workshopping what that book would look like, and you know, it eventually became what is the Bardic Verses now.
So you guys took. I haven't seen Witcher yet. It's on my list to watch eventually. I know it's popular, and I know there's a ton of video games and books and everything for that character and everything, right? And even an anime, I think, is coming. So I know it's insanely popular. So you guys took like a bard kind of character from like I'd say maybe a fantasy world kind of thing, and made him the focus rather than like a knight or like you know, whatever popular fantasy characters people usually use.
When you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, or even watching you know, a fantasy movie or reading a fantasy book, the hero's almost always, you know, that knight, that warrior, maybe that rogue, sometimes that wizard, but you don't really get that for the bard, right? Like the bard is the person who tells the story, not the person that is the story.
Right. It's almost like on the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, if you made Presto the main character.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. So can we get a little bit more of an elevator pitch specifically to the story? Like, you know, what's it about?
Yeah, so it's basically about just a guy, a storyteller trying to escape the long shadow of his warrior family legacy. So he comes from a long line of warriors, of people of main characters, let's say. Like he comes from people that the stories were about, and now he wants to get away from that. He wants to break away from that and just be a storyteller. Like he never got into like swords and stuff. He got into playing the lute and telling stories. So it's just about like him trying to navigate this world, this fantasy world, as a non-main character, and also just dealing with the fact that like everyone's like, oh well, you're this you're the son of Seawar Swordhand, this famous barbarian, and like you're not a barbarian. Like why? Like you just play music and tell stories. Like what good does that do? So it's just about him dealing with that and you know, going on these different adventures and having to you know, figure out who he is. And yeah, so it's pretty
figure out
fun.
why he's the protagonist in some ways, I think, right? Is that
yeah, and what his journey looks like being this non-warrior character, but he grows a lot in the book. He goes through some stuff that really changes him. So, you know, he starts the book one way. He literally starts the book getting punched in the face. He ends the book completely different.
That's cool. There's a little bit of self-discovery throughout the book. I love that. I love that concept.
Imagine this is the picture too from the website, right?
That's an old version of that. Pete has since remastered that picture.
Okay.
But yeah, that's literally page one. That's page one.
Funny.
Right there.
Awesome.
Right in the face.
Gonna start with a bang, you know.
Yeah, literally.
I love it.
Awesome. So you guys, I think I was talking to Pete backstage or in the green room, and he said that you guys were working on your pre-launch page for Kickstarter, but it hasn't been approved yet, right? It's not live on Kickstarter's website.
We just submitted it to Kickstarter like 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago.
Okay, yeah. So you probably won't be live until maybe tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, we can look at is there stuff on the website that we can
for sure.
Or Pete, maybe you have some artwork you want to show, or
there's very, very little artwork on the website at the moment. We just kind of have that one glamour shot, and then it focuses on the different parties involved as you know, contributors. You know, myself, Matt, our letterer Matt Krotzer, who's top notch. He's a top notch font guy. We've got Carlos and Nick, who are two pals of ours who are contributing to the book with some pinups. We have some other people as well that are going to be doing some just some interior little pieces for us.
Oh, cool.
So are you doing everything from pencils to colors?
Yes, everything.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
100%. Okay. And you know, the interesting thing I think we landed on with this book was, you know, we have a main character who tells stories, and those stories are all portrayed with a different approach, with a different art style.
Oh, really?
You know,
okay. So you're changing up your art style throughout the series?
Drastically in some cases.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we kind of we start off in what I'll call my style, right? And then as he begins a new song, or you kind of like think of it as a chapter in the book, right? He begins a new song, and then for that story that he's singing, it takes on a different appearance.
Gotcha.
You know, so we have we pull from a pretty wide array. You know, we've got some Frank Miller influence in there, Rob Liefeld, Bill Watterson, Ryan Oatley. Yeah, it just goes on and on.
Cool.
So
wow.
there's a lot of stuff there. We got some Kirby very early on in the book.
Nice.
Yeah. So
so in building the campaign, can you guys talk anything about like tiers, premium tiers? What do you guys are kind of hoping to kind of push the most of?
Yeah, so we have a digital tier, we have a print tier, we have a couple of like premium tiers, we have a retailer tier. Obviously, you got to support the retailers.
For sure. We
have a couple of premium tiers. We have art commissions on like 5x7 pages, like original art. We have digital art for like if you want to get a commission of like your D&D character, which are, you know, that's super hot in the tabletop community. Cool, yeah. And then we have the highest tier is getting that commission on like a canvas. So we'll actually send you an 11x17 canvas that Pete draws of your character.
Oh, really? Painted and everything?
Digitally painted.
Digitally painted, and then you transfer it to a canvas.
Yep, and I
Okay.
am thinking about maybe doing some effect on it too. Like breaking out like the old metallic like ink pens or something.
Oh, very cool. I like that.
No, get illustrated into the book option.
No.
Too much work.
We did too many of those.
Yeah, you guys did that already with the
I was
charity.
surprised because I had that for Surrounded by Death, and we didn't think we were going to get anybody, and we got 4. So we were just like, what? Like, we didn't expect that,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's popular. People like that.
Marmalade CB says you guys make fun comics. So that's
Nice.
somebody that knows you guys. That's
Nice.
Awesome. That's
Nice.
awesome. And may I throw out a suggestion for a stretch goal for you guys? If
Sure.
you hit certain tiers, how about doing like music sheets of some of the songs that the bard sings, or
That would
something
be
like that?
cool. Yeah.
Maybe if you hit
That'd be
10
pretty cool.
grand, everybody gets a song, or like a music sheet for the song.
I was just going to ask, what's the goal going to be set at?
Goal is set at 5K at the moment. We wanted to keep it humble.
Yeah, you gotta.
We wanted to make sure
your first one.
Yeah, exactly. And we wanted to put the focus on the experience as much as the book. So, honestly, like a year and a half ago, I hadn't backed anything really on Kickstarter. It wasn't something I was really diving into. But over the last year, especially with everything going on in the world, I found myself doing it more and more, and probably too much more.
Yeah, same.
In some cases.
Join the club.
Well, even like doing the show, we have guests on, and I'm like, okay,
we find out new books like almost
and then they roll
weekly.
out something really cool, and I'm like, I gotta buy 2 of those.
Yeah, it always happens. But like I would say my advice to you guys in as soon as the pre-launch goes live, definitely try to capture as many emails as you can before you actually launch the campaign, just so that way you get the word out right away and get the big bump at the beginning of the campaign, because it's like with any campaign.
As soon as
go ahead.
As soon as they approve it, we're gonna do the pre-launch page. Like, as soon as
nice.
you got it, I'm gonna be like, it's up.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny can tell you from experience, it was like, bang, strong start. There's a lot of people back it right away, but then there's that lull in the middle. Right,
Yeah,
Johnny? And it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit up until the end.
Yeah, I was very lucky to kind of have the foresight to align the middle of my campaign with San Diego and do the exclusive cover. So right in the middle of the campaign, where you normally get that lull, I had a nice little uptick of people who either changed to that pledge or jumped aboard through the marketing of that campaign itself. So that was kind of good. But then immediately after that, it was like wasteland until the end, where we got a little bit more of an uptick. But we really burned bright at the beginning, and I think that's really. And again, it was my first campaign. I can't say I'm a aficionado here, but I feel like you got to burn bright at the beginning to really have a good solid footing in the campaign. And to really make it to that goal.
Yeah, that, and you got to do a bit of pre-launch, which definitely got to make people aware of it, and kind of make it an event when you launch. That like, hey, join us tonight. And, do a live stream, on Facebook or something.
I went on Facebook and told everybody was having panic attacks.
Yeah, get sympathy like Johnny did,
I was having heart palpitations, like, oh, we're about to hit launch here, guys.
So you gotta do it. You gotta get pulling those heartstrings a little bit.
I guess, yeah. No, they can see the fear in my eyes. I was gonna say, guys, what's the launch date now? Do we have anything set yet?
Yeah, September 8th. It's a Wednesday.
September 8th, right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So that's what, 3 weeks? 3 weeks or so?
Yeah.
Roughly.
3 weeks.
Awesome. And then Pete just shared some of the artwork here. So let me see if I can bring this up.
Yeah, let's check it out. I'd love to see some
definitely
more.
Want to see some of this. Yeah,
So
and the other thing that was interesting.
That main image, right?
What's that?
Pete was saying you remastered that main image of him getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great visual stuff for like the campaign page or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh,
That's
totally.
such a great image.
You know, it's interesting how that kind of came around too, because it's like, you know, I'm drawing different pages, you know, under different influences, right? Because like I don't draw like Frank Miller, I don't draw like Bill Watterson, right? And it's like, you know, trying to like hone in and harness their visual style for our needs. It's like I picked up so many things, some bad things that I had to forget, but a lot of good things. And at the end of it, when I went back to kind of do my pages, I was like, oh, I have to redo these now because they don't look like I have just kind of trained myself to draw, right? Like it's weird drawing in somebody else's way for about a year. I didn't expect that to happen, but it's a good thing. You know, like I've grown from that, which is cool.
That is cool.
And you said too that that this isn't just like a single issue, right? This is actually a full trade, right? How many pages are you guys talking here?
It's 80 total. There's like
is it really? Wow.
66 sequential pages, and then there's like a whole bunch of back matter that we got going on back there.
Oh wow! And how far along are you guys with the book? Is it like
so
what?
Close?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
so
part-wise, like 90% of it is done.
Good.
So the point of the campaign is to pay for the lettering, because Pete and I are not taking a page rate. We're not taking any of the money from this book, and pay for the print run. That's it.
Oh, perfect. And I would use that definitely in your marketing as well to let people know that the book is pretty much done, or getting, but 90%. So that always gives people confidence in backing a project, knowing that it's really going to be fulfilled like shortly. You know what I mean? Like, which is great. So Pete, you're done all the artwork, or you just have
I have a handful of pages still to do.
But still, it's close, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's very close. It's very close, and it's I've appropriately planned out some bulk vacation time for my day job to make sure that by the time this Kickstarter is live, that I want to sit back and enjoy it a little bit. I don't want to be like what's happening, looking over my shoulder while I'm drawing. So
yeah, definitely. You should probably jump on Instagram and do some pages live and promote it too. And things like that really help.
The thing being is, I draw when and wherever I can. So it's like, I might do some of it on the couch in my living room. I might do some of it in the car while my son's at band practice. I might do some of it in between meetings at work, or if I'm traveling, because I do that on occasion.
Love working on company dime. That's the best part. Like you can bang out like a drawing or a script on company dimes. Like that's not so bad.
It's not. I'm entitled to my 2 15s and a 30. Right?
Yeah, right.
So
You gotta make
that's an hour of drawing every day.
Yeah. I wish I had more time at this job, but like it seemed, my last job, I was all over that, using some of the time and,
I find myself staying at the office and working late there.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Stuff done just because it's quiet and it's just easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No
you don't have to go home. To
exactly.
Exactly. So, so let's take a look at some of the artwork here. This is the PDF that you sent to me. So this is like is this sort of like a sampler?
Cover, guys.
Yeah, I really like it.
So it will be not for the Kickstarter, but I think we're gonna do a con exclusive with a foil cover.
Oh man,
cool.
I gotta have that foil cover when it's ready.
Yeah.
That's gonna be hot. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so you're going to do that as like a stretch goal as part of the thing?
Either a stretch goal or like a separate run that'll be a con exclusive.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
Also, and there's the page you guys are talking about.
Nice. So that's the redone version, right?
No, that's the original.
Oh, that's the original? Okay.
Yep.
So this is an old sampler that you guys were
It is an old sampler. The first 2 pages have been redone.
Gotcha.
Just to kind of I went back at it and I was like, okay, I'm adding more details in. My color game, I think, is elevated. And to be honest, those first 2 pages were drawn on an iPad Air with my fingertip as the stylus. So it's like,
Oh,
you know,
really?
yeah, over the course of this project, you know, it became evident, like, okay, this is going to go somewhere. And, you know, I had to put that investment back into, you know, myself, to Matt, and our project by, you know, upping my equipment. So I bought myself a better drawing tablet. I have an Apple Pencil, you know. So
That's great.
I love that panel right there.
Yeah, that's a Jack Kirby pose. If
I was
ever
about to say
seen
my
one.
favorite.
Kirby. Oh, I love it.
And
my
I love
favorites.
the Kirby. I see the Kirby dots in the back.
Yeah, the Kirby crackle. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
fantastic.
So good. I you know, when in the 90s, when McFarlane and Jim Lee and all those guys were dominating, at the time, I loved those guys, and I was like, I couldn't see, and everyone would talk about Jack Kirby, and I couldn't see it at the time. It's when I got older and went to school, art school, and then looked back at Kirby stuff, and just, I was like, masterful.
Oh, yeah.
Like his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the amount of output that guy was doing in the 60s and 70s is insane.
It's wild.
Yeah,
it's
it's insane. I mean,
really
he was something else, you know. So
I think I was the same way, Keith. You know, I didn't really.
I think
appreciate
everybody
his art
kind of is
until I really got into more of the cosmic Marvel stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like there's some really cool like artwork here. And I've always loved the Kirby crackle after that. Like,
yeah,
that,
definitely,
that's my favorite.
You know, so but yeah, so that's just a testament here. Yeah, this stuff looks good. And to get back to what you were talking about, Pete, it's good that you have the opportunity before the book actually goes to press to go back and fix things that you don't like, you know, or do you want to update and make better, you know. So I
love that the orcs look like Kirby Skrulls.
What's that?
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that the orcs look like Kirby Skrulls.
Yep.
Yeah, they do actually.
I love it.
Yeah,
They really do.
great.
They really do.
The eyes and the pointy ears. I love it.
That could almost be a cover or its own print. You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's good. I like the texture. And so now is the Bard
awesome.
So is the Bard in the story, is he sort of like, is he also the main character in all the stories, or does he just tell tales?
He's the main character in all this.
Okay, so every story he tells, he's part of, basically. Okay, so he's not just like the Crypt Keeper or something, is what I was getting at.
No. He's telling the adventures that he goes on.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, and then I see what you're talking about, Pete. How the shift in artwork here. So did you take, when you did this sampler, did you guys take just certain pages from each story to kind of put it out there to kind of?
No, that's sequential.
Really?
That's
sequential. Really?
Yeah, this is going to be. We've changed the order a little bit now, but this was going to be this is essentially the beginning of the book here. The next story is going to be different in the book, but this is essentially the beginning.
Oh, very cool. Oh, and here's Frank Miller, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I got to say one thing about his Sin City stuff. I love the way he uses black and white. I mean, one color. I mean, it's awesome, especially the rain scenes. Like you were kind of emulating here, you know.
Yeah, I used to draw in black and white almost religiously. Like color just wasn't really my, in my wheelhouse. And when I started doing this, I was like, I was really trying to get like that Frank Miller like look, and I'm like, I just can't.
It's
like
tough.
To tell you what, though, your face looks a lot like Steve Dillon's artwork right there. That
it kind of does,
a little bit. Yeah, I see a little Steve Dillon there.
There's a little bit of that. I love Dylan on Punisher, so subconsciously came out.
I've got Dylan's Punisher tattooed on me, so I see it all the time.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, this right here is so Frank Miller. This face reminds me of the Yellow Bastard, or like when they used to do those close-up shots of
Marv's face. Yeah,
like the perverted councilman,
it's so cool.
And all that. Yeah, all his scumbag characters. It's
I love that. Love it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love that. I love that you guys tried to do something.
Oh, you got the little touchy yellow in there.
Yep.
Oh,
Yellow Bastard.
Yeah. I got back this. Thank you very much.
That's so funny story really quick. That character is Gary. He's a goblin. he became my favorite character in the whole book. Like, I mean, I love Martillon as the main character, but Gary is just so like weird and funny and like spoiler, but he does show up later on in the book. Yeah, he's just so fun to write because he's just so like silly and like good natured. But the running joke in the book is that he keeps getting the main character's name wrong. So every time he sees him, he calls him something else.
I love that.
That's awesome, and it's fine. I find it same, and Johnny, I imagine you the same as a writer. That happens with certain characters. You start off thinking that you're gonna love like writing a certain character in your book, and then another one in the background finds that voice, and all of a sudden you're like focused on that other character. You know, it's really an interesting thing as a writer. And you know, and I think talking to a lot of writers, that happens to everybody, you know.
Well, I even think in the development process, a lot of the characters' profiles kind of take on life of their own, and then I don't know about you guys, but it's almost like they just speak in your head, and you just kind of type it on the keyboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you almost put them in the same room in your head, and then
you really do.
You transcribe the conversation like one of those courtroom, the secretaries just writing.
Yeah,
yeah. Isn't that is a very interesting thing? You know, it's funny that everybody kind of does the same thing. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. And this is, you would gear this, you would say fans of Witcher, fans of Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy stuff. Would this book would appeal to them?
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
At its core, it's a love letter to comics, fantasy, and just good storytelling. I think we have, it's a fantasy story, but it pays homage to comics. It's we tried to keep it kind of broad.
Yeah.
Is it friendly for all ages, or is it more of a mature adult?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fun.
I would see anything too crazy in here.
There's one swear in it, and there's like some light violence towards the end, but there's no like gore or anything like that. So
like a PG-13 kind of level, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, but that's good. I mean, like if you make it as broad as possible, I think you have more chance to hit people that might be looking. And I've noticed lately too, with comic book stores and everything, it seems like Dungeons and Dragons kind of making like a kind of a comeback lately. So I think this might be the right time to do like a fantasy type of book.
Yeah, I have a really good feeling. I think this book will have no problem in no time. It's got some really cool concepts. The artwork is just phenomenal. I love that you play with different styles. Like you said, it's a love letter to comics, and it shows. And I really can't wait for this to launch so I can back it.
Yeah, and
awesome,
I love that you guys are doing a whole graphic novel too, and it's not just a single issue. That's great too. How long have you guys been working on it? Has it been
since right before COVID started.
Oh, really?
Right?
So about a year. That seems about
right.
about
a little over a year. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, any future plans after this? After you put this book out, and you guys gonna do more? Are you gonna work on something else? Some different genres?
Great question. We are like workshopping a volume 2. I don't want to say too much about it, but we're thinking about that. We have another project that's kind of on the back burner at this point. I think my main goal with this Kickstarter is I want to show people like how good of an artist that Pete is, and I want Pete to like get hired to do more stuff and get his stuff out there because he's really good. And he, deserves to get more platforms and do more books.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, we definitely want to do a volume 2. Volume 3 will go as long as we can.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you guys have more and more ideas. That's good.
Yeah, we have some fun ideas for the next one for sure.
We'll be on here in 2036 talking about volume 15.
Yeah, I love it. And we'll have you back over and over again. Definitely.
Fantastic. Any plans?
What's the price point going to be for the book?
Yeah. Like, what's the basic tier? Like, if you just want to get the book.
20.
Yeah, if you want the book, it's $20.
That's
plus,
reasonable.
That's a bargain. 80
plus
pages.
$7 shipping.
Yeah, that's a bargain. That's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And then you get the digital a little cheaper if you want the digital, right? Or
The
you get
digital
both?
same price, but no shipping. So
no
it's
shipping.
$20
Okay,
flat.
gotcha. So if you just want to okay, yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. And what was I gonna say? I forgot my train of thought. It was
This is where I'm supposed to step in and
yeah,
pick
step
up the
in,
slack
Johnny.
for
While I
you,
think this
but I'm
over.
too much of a slacker to do that myself.
Actually, I remember what I was going to ask. So, any plans to go to conventions together, get a table and set up, and start talking to fans and push the book?
Yeah. Obviously, I don't think it's going to happen this year because by the time the book is finished, it'll probably be closer to the end of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for sure, next year, COVID permitting, we'll be out and about. I mean, New York for sure, probably mostly local shows, across the tri-state area. But yeah, I've tabled at New York a couple of times. I love it. I think it's awesome. And I've done a couple of local shows around here. I live in Long Island, so yeah, I definitely we'll go to as many shows as possible to get this book out there for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a way to do it, and just getting word out in both social media and then also locally at shows, I think helps a lot. Me and Johnny are big convention whores up in this way.
Yeah. I have always said
best.
quality, consistency,
Isn't
and
it?
travel will do you good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
for
I
sure.
think the thing is, and there was a statistic, I don't know, a couple months ago that one of the high-end pros put out on Twitter saying, I think it was Mark Millar. He said that, do you know that there's less than 2% of comic fans that are on Twitter? And it's made me think, it's yeah, I mean, that makes sense because when I do conventions, I'd say more than 70% of the people I meet probably don't even have a Facebook or, you know what I mean? Some of them are older dudes that just like comics and go to shows. And, you get people like that you don't reach necessarily with social media. So
I was just going to say, some of the people, even if the people you meet at a show are on social media, you probably wouldn't have reached them through social media as you would have in person. Right?
Yeah,
There's
true.
nothing that competes with putting a book in somebody's hands, saying, flip through this, check this out.
Well, there's so much noise
through it. You know what I mean? That's better than fishing. That's the hook right there.
Yeah, and there's so much noise on social media too. So it's you're fighting against that, and
there's so much noise on a convention floor. You just got to be louder than the
yeah, that's true. Either that they're on social media or they're just batshit crazy, right, Johnny? How many of those you run into?
Oh my God, I have stories for days about.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. We all do. We have I call them war stories. War stories.
War stories.
For
But to your point, those people were not going to see your book otherwise. For the most part, they're not following you on social media. And if they are, for some reason, the algorithm works against you. There's so many factors that work against you that, the best thing to do is just have a presence at a show, have the book on the table. They're going to walk past. If they stop and look, you go, hey, take a look, hold this book and start flipping through. Let me tell you about it. And then, you make a sale and you're off the race.
I find people just come by and I just talk to them, that's, and I approach it I don't care if they buy the book. Let's just have a conversation. And then, 9 out of 10 times they'll either check out the book on their own or they'll come back sometimes just because you gave them the time of day, So it's,
and Matt and I are we're big dudes. So, we can just corner them. You can't walk past it. You can buy a copy.
There you go.
We'll even cut you a deal, fine, and then you can go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
where you going? They're trying to walk away.
Super kicks for everybody.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's it.
And my wife says here, and I agree with this, social media terms of service all say that you have to be 13 or older for an account. many kids who love comics are a lot younger than that and at conventions. So yeah, I definitely, and I've seen that at my booths at shows, kids coming over and checking out our stuff. So yeah, so I'd say you need both, although when you do conventions, I say this to all creators, just be prepared to lose money, that's the one thing. It's like, it takes
That's just
a long
the nature
time.
of the business.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
We're just paying our dues.
Yes.
I don't think I've made. I did okay at New York, but I definitely didn't make my table back. Like the table alone
New York is
crazy.
A whole other beast. Like,
but it's worth it. Like everyone's there. Like it's worth it to get FaceTime with people and just be there. Like Artist Alley is always crazy. Like it's always worth it. Like like to your point, you may not make a ton of money, but it's all about getting your stuff out there.
Meeting people. It's like building the seeds,
That's why I do San Diego every year. It's because, like, I'm a Boston boy exhibiting comic books in San Diego for 4 days. There could be worse things happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's true. Johnny's more of he gets out there. He's all over the country.
You got to all the different kinds of creators and people.
The furthest I get is actually New York.
You are one beacon of your project. And if your beacon's staying still and is quiet, then you're not going to get out there. But if that beacon moves around and says, "Hey, read my book, check this out, check out this guy's art," all that stuff, that makes a difference. You don't see it at first, but it makes an impact.
Well, the more they see you, they start associating the logos and things like that. That's happened to me a ton of times. I remember even, just certain even higher end creators have seen me at shows and they kind of remember the logo and they've come by and they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing this somewhere," and so that's part of the game, I guess. I've been doing the convention since like 2008, so I just started making some money at shows. It's taken that long, so just to give you an idea,
I've only ever been to conventions as a guest, like viewing,
walking around.
That's it. So I'm kind of excited to, over the
it's fun. It's a different dynamic. Yeah, definitely. So. It's a different dynamic. And the other thing, if you're excited about your book, that excitement will go to other people as they come by, so that always helps. So definitely. So, all right, guys, we're at an hour and 10 minutes, so we should probably.
It flew right by.
I know. It's like that's the thing about the show. You get talking comics. It's like being at the comic store, talking to the clerk for hours and hours on end. I used to work at That's Entertainment up here, which was one of our bigger stores, and that was my whole day. I didn't get anything done, just talking comics all day. So, but so where can so if people want to actually. Tell people where we can find the Kickstarter info, and the pre-launch should be up within the next day or so, right? So where should people go to pick that up from you guys?
Yeah, so there's 2 places you can go to, bardicverses.com, which is our main website. You showed it earlier. That'll have a link to the Kickstarter, and then we have tbvkickstarter.com, which will take you straight to the Kickstarter. No frills. Pretty easy.
Okay, great. How about you guys personally? Are you guys on Facebook, Twitter, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm on every social there possibly could be. MySpace, Friendster, Match.com. All my usernames are at mattmanbegins. So as you can see there, I have the same username across all of my socials.
Oh, that's funny. I
like that kind of uniformity.
Yeah, I know another guy that goes by Mattman up here in Springfield. He does or he used to do a show called Secret Identity Podcast. And
I used to confuse them too.
Yeah, I know him. I know Matt. Yeah.
I used to confuse you 2 guys all the time because you sort of look alike a little bit too. So it's like,
oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see that.
So it's
I'm supposed to go hang out with him soon. He just bought a new house up in Springfield on the lake, and he wants me to come by and hang out. I've just been so busy. I haven't had a chance to do it, but we're supposed to hang out together soon. So hopefully it'll happen.
Nice. Tell the Mattman with 2 T's says hi.
I will. I definitely will. And,
Nice.
how about you, Pete? Is there a place? I'm assuming you have an Instagram that you're on all the time.
I do Instagram, Twitter, Facebook if you dare. Pack illustration. It's right there.
That,
I don't know where my hands are going.
Yeah.
It's
Is it pack illustration across the board?
that's it.
Awesome. So
That's
check out Pete on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook under Pack Illustration and Matt under MattmanBegins. How about you, Johnny? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Nothing really new. Surrounded by Death campaign wrapped up. It was a success. Hurry up and wait for fulfillment. That was the update that went out today. The only other thing
Speaking of that, do you have a date in mind on when you're going to start fulfilling? Or
so I'm aiming for the end of September, and what I'm really waiting
quick.
on is some color and lettering.
Oh, really? Okay,
So
that's awesome.
That's what needs to get done, and then that's when the basic tiers will go out. I'm currently doing the 8-pager for the exclusive collected volume, so that's going to take a little bit longer. I expect that to go out maybe in December.
Okay.
But I'm not going to order coffee for people until it's going to ship, because I really want everybody to have like the freshest bag of coffee to go with their orders. So I'm going to hold off on that until it's go time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And the only other thing I got going on is we landed an image of Moon Knight from the new series on Movie Preview Show on Facebook. So go check that out if you want to check out Moon Knight in action live before you can see it officially.
Awesome. And Johnny, look at this. Emily Druin says congrats, finishing up her new comic too. Hey, Emily.
Nice.
How's it
Good
going?
to see you, Emily. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, Emily. Good to hear
We'll
from
have
you.
to bring her on at some point.
Yeah, definitely. And she runs a successful convention up this way called the Kids Comic Con, so she's very focused on doing like kids.
That would be great for Bardic Verses once it's done. That's for sure. I think that would be a hot seller there.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I got I just finished lettering Don Shin's Beard Zerker, so that's all done. I finally finished that last weekend, and I also have a new project on Indiegogo that's running right now called Spells and Superheroes that I'm going to be lettering. That's coming up. And I got all these lettering gigs happening.
Nice.
And then Mighty Mascots 4, 5, and 6 should be hitting Alterna's website later this year at some point. So those will be up for sale soon for everybody. So, all right. So
Matt and Pete, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
So much fun having you guys on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed learning about you guys and learning about the new project. I wish you luck with it, and definitely keep in touch with these guys and check out the Kickstarter when it goes live. So, without further ado, anybody else have any final words before we end this episode of Indie Comics Relay?
Be excellent to each other.
Everyone's speechless.
Yeah, wash your hands.
Wash
your hands. Put your masks on, and check out Bardic Verses September 8th.
Awesome. I agree with that. All right. Without further ado, me and Johnny will be back next Wednesday with another episode. Not sure who the guest is going to be, but tune in next Wednesday, same time, same indie channel, and join us. All right, guys. Until next Wednesday, we will talk to you later. Have a great week and a great weekend. Good night.